Hi guys, it's Jennibellie. I'm here with this tutorial as to how to make journals out of greetings cards. I've had a few questions, particularly on my blog, as what these journals can be used for, whether it's for writing or keeping the cards as they are or altering them. The answer is all of the above. The concept that I've come up with for the cards is very simple. So when I show you how to make this journal, you can then adapt it however you want. This is the journal I'm going to show you how to make in the video. Along with the giveaway journal, these two I have altered the pages inside, so they are painted, they are collaged, and they are two ready to go art journals. The two at the back are made just by binding the cards as they are. So if you have a milestone birthday or an anniversary, it will be a really nice gift idea to take the cards away, make the cover, do the binding, and then you've got a keepsake of the event. So the video is split into two sections. The first is going to show you how to organise your cards for the different elements that you will need, different sections to create this journal. Then the signatures and the pockets. The second video will be on creating the covers and the binding. The third video I'm going to do is going to be showing you 5 different ways to make little books with Christmas cards to fit into the pockets. And then the fourth video will be showing you how to make these chunky beads for the binding or anything else you want to use them for. Now the cards, the journals rather, they're very arty looking, and the reason for that is I didn't see the point of trying to make them look like a traditional journal because they're not made out of paper, they are made out of cards of all shapes and sizes. So rather than looking at that as a weakness, I looked at it as a strength and created this binding that you wouldn't necessarily dare use with paper because it might tear it, but it creates a really funky kind of binding. And what I have done is try to keep in as many tips as I can, because from doing these videos I've realised that what is apparent to some people isn't apparent to others, and vice versa. And so I've kept in things about tips for the closures, say, or doing the binding, or for decorating the front. They're not just applicable to creating these journals, but for any journals that you might make. So I've kept in as much as I think is necessary. And without any further ado, I will show you the materials that you need to make them. Right guys, once you've gathered all of your cards together, you're going to want to go through and take out any cards that you might want for particular elements, like these cards here. I'm probably going to use for collage. So take out any cards that you find interesting, put them to one side. Next, take out any cards that you might like as actual page elements. For example, I really like this flourish here and this backdrop. The only thing that's Christmassy about it is this snowflake. So I'll probably just collage over the top of this snowflake, because I like layers in a journal, so there's no point getting rid of an already made layer that I actually quite like. So that will probably go into the journal as is, or with something over this element. The same with this starburst. I quite like this as a nice backdrop, so I just need to get rid of this sentiment down here. And finally, this wreath. I know a wreath is a Christmassy thing, but it's not got any holly on it, and I like the black and gold element, so I'll probably just put something in the middle over here, or when I come to journal I may cover the whole thing completely, I don't know, but I want to have that option in my journal, so I'm going to put these 3 cards in as is, and I'll see what I make with them. Then any elements that are quite funny or funky elements to put into your journal, such as this stamp card. I can take this off, paint it, and then I still have this card at the background to use. This bauble here, I'll probably just take that off, fold it in half, and then put it on one of the pages as a tab. So once you've done that, what you will then need is to find 2 cards that are quite the same size and large. You need the largest cards that you have, because these are going to be the covers. I have these because I've been given this leftover box of Christmas cards, so I'm going to use them. Next, get a card that is quite similar in size to that one, these ones here, and put that aside as well. Finally, you're going to need a spine. What I'm going to use is these thin cards. I'm going to put one of them aside. It doesn't have to be a thin card, it can be a normal sized card against your large ones, but what you need is one that when you put this horizontally, there's room either side here. So it doesn't have to be a skinny card, that's just my preference. And then what you want to do with the rest of these cards is we are going to paint and paper them and just make them into pockets and everything else. A few of the boards now, and I've just done really quick techniques. Where is possible, I've just kept one of the pages blank. I've just honestly just gone through, not done anything too fancy. This one's got a bit of a cool texture to it. I just put some acrylic paint on, and then I've closed the card to get this raised texture with the acrylic paint. And the reason why I've said to paint the inside rather than the front is because the front usually has, on 99% of your cards, it has this glossy finish which takes a few more layers of paint, whereas this one, on the inside, all you need to do is just cover up the writing. So I've just put a bit of metallic paint on just to cover that writing, and that's it. So I've painted the inside, and what I'm going to do on the outside is cover it in a bunch of scrap papers. This is my scrap paper box, and it's getting a little bit full, so I'm going to try and minimise this a little bit. Every so often I have to go through and make a project just out of these scraps, because otherwise I'll just have bags and bags of them. So what else you might want to do that for are cards like this one that's very flimsy card weight, it's not very heavy, so you might want to go through and front and back cover that in paper. The same where there is glitter on the card, the glitter on cards usually comes off, so you're going to want to cover them in paper rather than paint. And finally is these kind of cards where they've got an embossed image on. If you paint over them, obviously the embossed image is going to come through, so you might want to paper them front and back. Next, if you don't have scraps of paper, what you can do is, this is gift wrap, which I'm going to use later on in the video. I'll show you what I'll be doing with some leftover gift wrap. I've just painted the other sides, and you can just use them as the scraps if you don't have a bag of scrap paper. Okay, so now I'm going to go and cover the rest of the card. Okay guys, now we've decorated enough cards, what you want to do is start binding your cards together in signatures. Get the card that you've decided is going to be your spine and just make holes. I'm not measuring it, you can measure it if you want it more accurate, but I would only bother really measuring them if the cards are pretty much the same size as the covers. These ones aren't, so it doesn't matter to me if it's not exactly in the centre. And I've just scored the top and the bottom, and what I'm going to do is cut into it and create like little nicks in the card. Kind of like that, you see? And then once you get a few, choose a few cards that you like the look of together. I quite like mixed signatures, so I might do that. And then grab whatever you're binding it with and put the thread through a few. Now it's up to you how many cards you put in each signature. If you would like to have a lot of thread and beads on the binding and make it look very decorative, you might only want one card per signature, so that you've got lots of decoration on the binding. I'm going to go roughly about 2 or 3 cards per signature. I'm reckoning at the moment. Now next, what I'm going to do is those cards that I said earlier to just paint one side and then put aside, we are going to turn these into pockets. Now what you will need to do is when you fold them over, you can still usually on one side see a bit of the pattern through. So on those pages, put a bit of scrap paper just to cover. Just to cover the decorative edge that is going to show through. Then the first thing you've got to do again is measure and cut out the nooks of this one too. Oh, crackle paint. It's been tough to get through. Okay, so again, nix in it, and then I'm going to put the thread through this one singularly first. Next, I am going to grab a pokey something or other. If you've got a needle, then that's fine. And then I'm just going to poke random holes in. You can measure this if you want to. I'm not one for measuring, just stitching a decorative pocket together, to be honest. So I'm just going to poke holes. And then grab the cotton or whatever it is that you have that you're threading your book together with, and just, I like to start from this end because then I have some thread at the end for me to tie beads around, or for me to add extra decoration should I wish to. You can still just cut it off if you want. Now there's 101 ways that you can create a decorative edge here. I'm just going to go with a, I don't know what the phrase is, running stitch maybe, so that it just creates a nice kind of side effect. Just a nice slanted, I guess, slanted stitch. You can cross it there if you wanted to go back and make a cross. You could do L shapes, or, you know, anything you want to. You can also just take it to the sewing machine and just stitch it that way, or you can just glue it if you just can't be bothered with the stitching at all. And next I'm just going to knot it like that, just by going in a loop and creating a knot naturally with the stitch. Okay, and then I'll do it with the other side, and that's ready to go in once I've done that side, like this one. And you've now got a nice pocket, which we're going to stick mini books and fun things like that in. So go through all of your cards, make all of your signatures up, and then we are going to create the cover.